Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. So great to see
Am
you.
I live? It's working. I've never done this on TikTok, so it was like I went live and it was like, you don't have microphone settings.
You did fine. You're in. We're here. It's live. It's
Awesome.
truly live.
Good to see you.
You too. You look wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. I put makeup on.
You did. I put
I,
filters on.
uh, how's it going?
It's going really well. I've just been sitting here thinking, what do I want to say? What do we want to do? There's so much we could do.
Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes.
And one of the things I want to tell you is, I guess it was yesterday. I think it was yesterday. I asked your beautiful deck, this deck,
Sacred
the one that you,
creators.
yeah, what a good deck. You have written some fabulous things in this book. I sure hope you return it to the shelves.
Oh, you know what happened when I sold that deck to Hay House? We moved it from like an entrepreneur deck to like a creator deck. So it lost a lot of like the marketing, the branding, a lot of the more, so it's a much shorter guidebook now. Yeah.
But this book, wow, am I
Yeah.
ever glad I have it. I was having fun with it. So I decided to ask it directly, like, what is the message for the coming days for me and for a collective, right? And I got the successful transformation card.
Which is the death card. There's a minor,
I
there's a
know.
major, it's card. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I read the whole thing and I read it online to my live group. And then I cut and pasted a little bit and did that little ad with it. But I will tell you that it was so significant and so spot on for me and many. It was spot on. It's like this Mercury retrograde knew we were playing with these cards and decided to help us for a change.
Right.
So it came in, and this card I think really meant something significant for a lot of people. And so thank you. You really have some really great messages in that book, dear, and in others too. Like your teachings, the things you share. Wow, just wow.
Thank you. You know, that means so much, and it means so much coming from you. I really, really do appreciate that because I love your teachings. So we can crush on each other's teachings. I'm all for that.
What you need to know more so is I don't really like oracle cards. There's
Ah,
not many I enjoy, but I found this deck so significant and correct that I thought, oh wow, maybe I should be giving all these other oracles a little chance. Like Amy Zerner and Monty Farber put out some really good oracles, and I've just been really, coming in to understand them because I love them people. They're wonderful
yes,
people. In
they're
fact,
good people.
we're going to do a collaboration with them too.
Amazing,
Yeah, that should be
amazing.
coming up in a couple of months or something. I'm going to talk to them probably tomorrow, the next day about it. But I think it's so wonderful that I have all of you wonderful creators and authors and sort of mini celebrities, psychics in my pocket. And I am really, really happy about it because then I thought, what can I do with you wonderful people in my life? How can I help you? How can I help a larger circle of people? And so you coming on today and sharing what you have to offer the community, I think is definitely in line with that.
Thank you so much for
So,
inviting me. We were talking about this for anyone that's listening. Tamara invited me to chat with her last year, and I'm never on TikTok. So you need 1,000 followers before you can go live, right? And so I was like, I can't go live yet because it's a slow build, right? Because, well, I'm rarely here. Yeah,
but you're quite prolific on Instagram.
I'm busy over there. Yeah.
Oh, and you are really good at video and creating that energy. I watch you and I'm like, gee, I wish I knew how. I can't do that. Why am I not able to do it like that? I don't know. But I guess we all have our gifts, eh?
Well, I have a graphic design background. So, I mean, as an artist, that's like, you learn the tools. And so there's so many tools out there, though, that are like for non-artists right now, that it's, you know, you kind of jump into the apps and play, and I find some of them inspiring, and they make me think of new ways to share stuff, because as you know, it's like people's attention spans, we're sort of like, we get so much every day on the apps that you kind of want to do something that's a little bit different to grab people's attention if you can, right? At least that's what I try to do. I don't always do a great job, but that's, you know.
I think you're doing very well.
Thank you.
So I love what you're doing. And hello there, Melissa. Welcome here, my friend. There's a friend of mine from Midland anyways, this witch, Wand and Cauldron. Yeah. So we have a lot of, I still have a lot of connections to Ontario. In fact, I'm coming back on probably October 24th for about 10 days.
Nice.
In the meantime, my son was going there for 10 days at the end of September. And on the way home, he's bringing mom back here for a month, and then she'll go back with me. So we're still very connected to Ontario. In fact, I was thinking, maybe I'm going to try to come and have a cup of coffee with you.
Yeah, that would be nice. Let's do that. Let's do in person. I haven't seen you in person in like 10 years.
It has been a long time, hasn't it? It really has. And when was this book so I was telling people that you gifted me this and this lovely deck back in the day, in a box like this. I still have the box.
It's a giant like package, that deck.
Yeah, and now it comes in just the deck set.
Exactly.
Yeah, small deck set. I do sell them in my stores, and I got to tell you, Chrisanne, your deck is my #1 selling deck outside of Rider-Waite, because I asked for that to come into the classes that I choose.
Course.
Because I don't know your deck well enough yet. Maybe give me a few more years, and once I know that deck, maybe that'll be the deck they all have to have. But your deck is the second deck, the most selling deck in my store. Promise, that's the truth.
It's, you know, and it's so, you know, I'm so grateful for that. And it's also like, who knew? You know what I mean? Like, you just start creating this thing, and you hope that people will like it, and you pray like, oh, let this be something that people feel connected to, or you try and, you know, you put something out into the world, and you never know, you know. It's such a, it's
How
wild.
did it come about? Was the Sacred Creators deck your first one?
It was.
I have your actual first deck.
You do. That was like the first indie run ever. But because you had the shop in Barrie, right? So I was, okay, I'm going to like, you know, that was my first.
and things just rolled along, and I'm so sorry I didn't make it happen for you back then, but try to make it happen for you back then. Yes, I just didn't. I was so busy for whatever reason, and I missed the boat on that. But I'm here now.
I feel like you did. You were great. Yeah.
Well, I tried. I just didn't try as hard as I'm going to now. And the reason for that is I honestly see your decks being the leading deck in this era. Has anyone told you that you're #1 seller on tarot yet, on this card deck, the Light Seers?
I've seen it in that spot, which is just like, you know, and it's been 5 years that the deck's been out, so, you know, it's up and down on the rankings, and I don't always check, because I just feel like I could get obsessed with that if I start to check, so I just don't. But I know that it does well. I'm so grateful. It's just and I'm always like, yeah.
Do you know why it's doing so well? Do you know why?
No.
Because of you. I'm not joking. You can feel the love in your creations, Chrisanne. You honestly can feel the love. And I think that matters. And I'd like you to really kind of tell us how this came about. I love all your decks, don't get me wrong. My favorite one, of course, is the Light Seers, as everyone else. So if you wouldn't mind kind of zoning in.
On Light Seers, yeah.
And tell me about that.
I was, so Sacred Creators had been out, and I was invited to teach a class on creating your own oracle or tarot deck, because I come from the design background. So I was a part of Ethany's Tarot Summer School, and I did it was just a summer school class, and wanting to help other people if they wanted to create their deck, what that would look like, what the printing process would like, some of the costs they would expect. But in my mind at that time, I was like, I'm done. I did my one deck. I'm not creating any more decks. Like, it's a big, huge project. So I was like, okay, done, and that's it. One and done.
No way, it almost wasn't created?
Well, that's what I thought. I was like, I'm not doing any more decks. And so then I went into this summer school class to teach them, and I created a PDF for the students that was an oracle PDF, like what is the vibe? What are your cards going to look like? Do you have kind of suits or, just something for them to fill in to start thinking about their what their deck was going to be. And then I thought, well, there's going to be tarot students in here, and I love tarot. And even though I have never created a tarot deck, I'm going to do a PDF for them too, based on the oracle one. So I created this PDF for what will each suit be. Are you gonna call them the regular names? Are they gonna have different names? Are you gonna follow Rider-Waite Smith? Are you gonna be more, are you looking at a Marseille? And I started to create that, and I started to kind of play with filling it in. And I went to bed, and I kid you not, the next morning I was like, oh, I have to go fill that PDF in, because I had a million ideas. It's like I created the PDF, and then I started filling in the PDF, and then I was like, the muse hit, and I was like, phew, here we go. Like it just started to pour out of me. It was, I was obsessed.
I can tell that. And that's, this is what's so intriguing to me is I eat it up too. Like tarot to me is my religion. I say that and people laugh, but I mean it. Like it probably really is my religion.
Yes.
I love it that much, and I've never, see, it's the longest commitment I've had outside of my son. You know what I mean? For real. And honestly, I say, when I see what you've created and I watch what you've done and I see the depth, even just the depth of the colors and the symbols that you use, and just so many things make it amazing. And it, like, this is such a simple looking card, but if you really pay attention, it really hits the spot. Holding on to her money.
Yeah.
They're holding on to what's valuable, what she owns, what she thinks is valuable. And she's got her eyes closed. So it's kind of like, I'm not listening. I'm going to do it my way. I'm doing it like this because I want to. You get the feeling. Like, and your cards are the colors, like even the little village in the background all has little colors and blues and reds and the right spots. And I don't know, I love your choice of colors and little symbols. I think a lot of people really do, though, Chris Ann, and it shows that, that what it took for you to put it like that was being in love with it and obsessed with it.
I really was. And there was a moment where, like, I had done 3 or 4 cards, and I was sort of like, okay, I think I'm doing a deck, but sometimes you may, like, I had started tarot decks before and never finished them because it's such a big project. You get 3 or 4 images in and then you're like, okay, it's too much for me right now. This is probably the 4th time I had attempted to start a tarot deck. And about the 4th card in, the Queen of Pentacles showed up. And as soon as I saw her, I was like, I just kind of was like awestruck by her. And I was, she was showing up for me, as I was creating her. And I started to get this mantra from her, which was just so beautiful. And I'm so grateful for it. It was like through her, it was like I heard, let it be healing, let it be healing, let it be healing, let it be healing. And so I just kept that on repeat. And I'm pretty sure like that, let it be healing was what, like, it just kind of pulled it just kept me going the whole time,
Who is her? Who is her? Did I miss something?
The Queen of Pentacles. When I was creating the Queen of Pentacles, I felt like she just like kind of.
And you're the Virgo, right? You're Virgo.
I am Virgo. Yeah.
That's the Queen of Pentacles. So you really embodied. You actually created what you were embodying.
I guess so. Yeah. It was just this like. It just felt like there was this. Like constant drone whenever I was like, oh, getting stuck, or it's so much work, or I don't know what to do next. And then I was like, okay, like what is the most healing way to present this archetype? And a way that, especially for some of the like more difficult and challenging cards, like how could we present it in a way that hits home, but isn't scary, but also makes people be accountable for their actions, or makes them want to kind of dive into their shadow a bit more without being really afraid. That was my biggest hope,
Thinking about shadows, 7 of Swords. Talk to me about that. I'm going to put it up so people can see it. Talk to me about how you created that. Very interesting compared to the guy getting away from the carnival with his swords on his back.
Swords, yeah. It's it's one of the weirdest cards, right? Because it's a little bit different. It's not as obviously based on Rider-Waite Smith as some of the other ones. So I was imagining, like, you know how that the seven, when we look at Seven of Swords, sometimes it's like someone who's getting away with a con, or maybe it's a thief, or maybe they're getting away with something, or sometimes it's only taking what you need, right? Because there's those other two swords that are standing up. Then he's only taken the five, right? So when I thought about this card, I had used crows and ravens for my swords. And so I imagined this scenario. This one I was much more imaginative about, where there was this guy and he was stealing feathers from a crow's nest because he needed feathers for whatever reason. Maybe in his world, those are money, or I don't know, but he was stealing feathers. And the crow was really angry. You know, the crow was like really pissed off, like, you've stolen something from me. In my example, he's been caught. He's not getting away with it. He's actually being caught. But then the crow in my mind notices that there are all those little smaller crows on the ground. So none of her chicks have been harmed. Nothing was really stolen. She just thought it was. Because oftentimes with the Seven of Swords, there's this sense of like, maybe someone's getting away with something, but in my mind, the universe always knows. Like, the intention is always so important. So in this case, there's this moon that's shining down on him, and the moon is like, I understand. You only needed those things. You didn't actually do harm. You took only what you needed. And so, you know, your intentions were pure, and so we're good, regardless of what that crow thinks. You know,
Yeah.
so there's sort of the two sides of the story in that one. And I know that is one of the cards that is the most, well, I find the Seven of Swords and the sevens in general, they're pretty, there's kind of one, like, the more confusing cards in the deck as far as all of the many different ways to interpret them, right? So
I have to say, I like the way you saw that. I really like the way you saw that. Not something I personally would have said, but I have to say, I think I'm going to see that card differently from now on. Thank you. I love it. So can I just sort of poke you? I told you I wouldn't do it too much, but just a little tiny bit.
oh gosh, I'm an open book. Do whatever you know. Yeah,
All right,
we're good.
all right. So the psychic word, or this intuitive energy, I know I asked you originally if you felt you were psychic, and you said no. You felt you were an intuitive,
Yes.
which I don't see much different.
Right.
Okay, but I don't think you could do what you've done without being a psychic. You know what I mean? Like,
Fair.
what you have done is you've gone inside that card. You went inside Rider-Waite's card and you said, wait a minute, there's more. Let me show you what I mean. And you created this amazing card. Now you did the same thing. And see, I'm just going to pick a couple of cards that really, I kind of went, how the heck did she get there? How did she get there? Now here's another one that how did you get here? A Hierophant. And by the way, one of my girls is here, Anna B 7171. No,
Hi, Andy B.
7117. That is Andrea. She's the one who now owns Earth and Sky Connection in Barrie.
Amazing.
Andrea, this is Chris Ann. One day
Hello.
maybe you'll get to meet her. All right, so go ahead. Tell me about this Hierophant.
So, you know, the Hierophant for me, for such a long time, I felt like I didn't really have a relationship with the card. When I'd pull it, I'd always feel it always felt like a very cold card to me, because it comes, you know, like there's that like church-like priest or bishop or pope sort of energy that I felt really disconnected from. I mean, I grew up Catholic, but I just always felt like it was so cold. And, you know, we talk about the Hierophant as being systems, or as being like old structures, or these kind of like this kind of dogma. And I thought about what kind of Hierophant would I want to see, because there are good people in that role. And I'm like, if you take the pristine essence of that Hierophant personality, what is it that they're doing? They're wanting to help people connect to their own spirituality. They're really wanting to help them to connect with God. They're wanting them to find their way on the path. You know, like there are good people in that role. Although my own perspectives and my own filters really didn't allow me to connect with that energy very well. So I thought, what kind of Hierophant would I want, and what would he look like? And I imagined this person who is warm and caring, and who's almost maybe sitting on a street corner and like philosophizing about the meaning of life and spirituality. And then all of these people just kind of like almost like natural students would just start to emerge. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so I gave him, like, around his head, you'll see that there are all these tiny little symbols. And so rather than him being just like from one faith, there's a Tai Chi symbol, there's a Celtic Awen, there's a yin yang, there's like all of these different little symbols from all of the faiths. And I gave him that stairway because, of course, like, he's wanting to show you the way to the divine. But in my Hierophant, he's not the gateway himself. He's like, I can show you the gates up there, like, now you go. Right? So I wanted to create that Hierophant energy in a way that I wanted to experience it.
Again, I love it. I've always had a distaste for the Hierophant.
Yeah.
For so many reasons, and I mean, it's so against where I am as a free person, you know,
Right.
as a bit of a rebel, you know what I mean. And I think it's really important that when we're looking at, you know, as I got older, I started to understand the card in a more thorough way, I guess. When I was young, I was like, I don't like that Catholic stuff, you know, who needs the Hierophant? And then I saw the movie Pope Joan. And are you familiar with this?
I haven't seen it, no.
Okay, but you are familiar with are you? Maybe you're not familiar with Pope Joan actually being the Hierophant or the Pope.
No.
Let me just try this again. There was a Pope Joan who was a real thing. A woman was in the seat, okay? And many, many moons had passed, and then she ended up pregnant. And she had bound her breasts, and she was, you know, had put on this crown to be this bishop, and then they found out she was pregnant, and they stoned her in the streets of Italy. This is a true story. And then later in life, they created this like a throne with a hole in it and had jewels all over it, emeralds and rubies. And every single pope that came from that day on had to sit on that throne and have his testicles tweaked to prove it was a man before they gave him position again. No lie. This is a true story. Now, this card is associated to that energy to me, okay? Totally associated to it. So sometimes when I look at it, it kind of looks like in the Rider-Waite deck, it looks like a female.
Right.
You know? And when you put this deck together and you put the multicultural vibration around his head, I was like, finally, someone sees what should be, because anyone in that seat should be well educated in all cultures and willing to share and educate.
Yes.
Not subject them to one way only.
Yeah.
You know, so this card shows up with this hippie guy sitting on this pillow with the stairway to heaven. You know, you're hearing Led Zeppelin all the way home.
Totally.
And you know, and I loved it. So I want you to know how appreciative I was to see such a gentle, you know, it kind of reminded me of a Sagittarian person. I know this is a Taurus card, but I got that Saggy vibe, like the philosophical dude who's sitting on the corner talking about all the whimsical things he's learned in life.
Totally.
And, right?
Yes.
And what a great job on that card.
Thank you.
I love it.
Thank
Now
you.
there's another one. I'm like, what? What is she doing? I just love it, though. I love your interpretation of things. Some things you kept pretty traditional, but the ones you didn't really made sense to me.
Oh, I love that. I did my best to put as many of the little symbols into the cards, but I couldn't, of course, put all of them. Like for the Hierophant, he has that like the cross with the 3 lines on it. Normally, like the papal cross,
that was
but I
perfect.
put it on his T-shirt instead because I wanted people to be able to use it as a deck to learn with and kind of go back and forth between the Rider-Waite-Smith. But he doesn't have like there's not 2 people down there. You know what I mean? So there's certain things that are missing on the cards as well. But
Well, this is why I said I can't use it as a teaching tool yet.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yeah.
because I have to learn all the symbols in it first. But as I learn them, like what you just shared with me about the Hierophant and the Seven of Swords, I'm going to be happily showing them off
Aw.
in my class, because I show off your deck as much as I can, but I don't want
Thank
other
you.
friends. I don't want other friends and other decks to get mad at me, because my decks get mad at me if I don't use them. Please do. The Death card. That was the other one. That was another one. The Death card. Tell me what was going on in your wonderful mind now.
Well, you know what? When I first thought about creating this card, I remembered like I was just sitting and I was sitting in front of this blank. I was just sketching first, right, to come up with some ideas. And I just kept thinking not every single time, but 90%, let's say, of the time that the death card is pulled and you're with a client, people are usually saying, like, it's not a literal death. So I was like, how can I try and create something that looks like death, but that people can maybe intuit that it's not a literal death? You know what I mean? Like, I wanted that sort of, I wanted to get that across. So I thought about just inside of this Reaper's head, I kind of went with the traditional Reaper, but then inside of his, instead of seeing the skull or just like eyes or something, I wanted to put a new horizon so that it felt like a rebirth or another opportunity after this. So I feel like you could kind of get drawn into him, and there's this whole new beautiful opportunity on the other side. And so to try and make that more clear, I put the you'll see the outline of the trees inside of his head, but those same trees are also down on the bottom left of the card as well. So it's kind of repeated. Also, because sometimes when we
I
go
don't think
through,
I ever noticed that. See that down there, folks?
yeah, so they're
Right?
repeated, right? So it's almost like, you know, when we talk about letting go or like the dying of an old thing to make space for the new, we often also, though, if we don't fully let go, we repeat the same lesson in a different way, right? So it's also, there's that little symbol there to remind you, like, you know, you're going to repeat the same lesson in this rebirth if, you know, you don't fully let that go. So that was where those trees came in.
Good job. I really like that. I really, really like that. I mean, this one here is just one of my favorite. It says it all.
Aw,
That's one of my
yeah.
favorite. A beautiful Gaia
Thank
Mama.
you.
Yeah, beautiful job on that one. That's one of my favorite cards that you did. And you chose the High Priestess for the box card,
Yes,
which, by the way, looks like you.
it does. I don't even imagine that.
It sure does. It looks like you when you had darker hair.
Well, you remember I had like dark red hair, so that's probably where you're. Yeah. Everyone else would be like, "What?" Yeah, we used to have red hair.
Like, come on, doesn't that look a little bit like? Just take the
Maybe.
glasses off and see yourself.
Let's see. Just like this.
See that? I'm quite serious. It's amazing. It's
It wasn't done on
amazing.
purpose, that's for sure.
Well, I'm not sure that any of this was really on purpose, was it?
No, it just sort of happened. It was really, I feel like, I mean, there were a lot of things that I had to make decisions about that were very like heady, like, okay, how am I going to do this and how am I going to do this particular symbol? So there was a lot of thinking, but there was also a large part of it that was just like the muse working through my hands by proxy. It was just like whoosh, the energy just came through me, you know?
You know what? Please do me the biggest favor and take a picture of yourself with no glasses. Get someone to take a picture of you with no glasses in this position and put your face. Your nose is the same. Your lips are the same. I'm serious.
That's
So
fun.
whenever I see that, I think of you. Like
Aw.
right off the bat. I mean, I know we're both lighter haired now, but whenever I think of you, I actually think of that picture.
That's so
Yeah.
nice. That's so nice. You know what I love about that particular card? There are like, you know, that the priestess was so important because there's so many people that love the high priestess, and I knew that like that's a big card for people, and if they don't like your priestess, they may not. They're not buying your deck. You know, some people, especially when
That
you're
is a
starting out,
true
you have
fact.
your card,
Yep,
you know?
yep.
And so with that one, I thought, okay, how do I get this Priestess, like there's a lot of the Rider-Waite symbols there in that card, but they're hiding. You know what I mean? Like she has like the Torah scroll on her earrings, and she's got the solar cross on her. Like there's a lot of little tiny things going on in the details of that card. But the one of the things that I imagined was the most obvious detail, which was that her eyes are closed, but when you look at them, they're also kind of open, right?
There's
like
an eyeball. There's eyeballs. You can
right,
see them.
like so you can kind of see her eyes as open and closed. And I remember one of the times I was talking on a live and I said that, and there were a few people on the live that kind of freaked out, and they're like, oh my gosh, like I started, like they had that kind of, because they didn't notice it before, that her eyes are actually also open looking at you. And I was like, that's the detail that I most love about that card, because it's like, it's kind of like intuition. Like once you turn it on, you know, or once you see, you can't unsee, you know?
You know
And I
what the
feel,
days for anyone who's watching. By the way, all of you who are watching, please tap the screen a whole bunch of times and share it if you wouldn't mind. I would like more people to get a chance to sit with Chris Ann, because she doesn't do this very often, and I really want people to get a chance
aw,
to meet with her, to see her. I think the lesson that we're all getting today is you have put a lot of hidden symbols in here, and we need to slow down and really look at them. Maybe get a little micro magnifying glass out to really take a good look, because I see what you're saying. You know, like there are things I didn't see, like those trees. I did not notice those trees,
yeah.
and I pride myself in detail.
Yeah, there's lots of little details in there. Like she does have like some, like instead of the pomegranates behind her, there's like a couple pomegranates on her, on the dress she's wearing. I tried to, not, now this is not in all of the cards, but I did try to put those symbols that I most love
I
from the
don't. I don't
Rider-Waite
think
Smith.
anybody can really see it. Let me see.
Yeah, you can see the two pomegranates just there on the right sides of her necklace, and then there's the solar cross right there on her necklace instead, because normally it's more on the ground there. So yeah.
And the Torah is in her earring. What's on the other one?
Oh, it's so there. I just put two scroll earrings,
Yeah.
and I didn't actually write Torah there, but I just left the two scrolls, and then I put a little moon on the bottom of there.
Yeah.
Because I wanted
Oh,
that scroll to be there in some way for the people that really wanted to see that scroll, you know?
yeah, it's really nice. One of the things that I thought was interesting, this is kind of funny, but here we go. This card,
Oh,
the
yeah.
devil. It looks like most of my exes.
Lucky you.
That's what got me into trouble all these years, was that good-looking guy.
Yeah.
And I thought this was the perfect picture for the devil for me,
Yeah.
because I have attracted this guy most of my life. And now I can really see why, because he's good looking. So tell me about this card. And I see you have the unicursal hexagram on his chest, which is all Crowley.
Yeah.
So talk to me.
So with the devil, of course, you know, I was thinking about how could I create a devil that, number one, I didn't want a deck that would scare people, because I wanted it to be intuitive, number one, and number two, a little more like, just for some, like, especially for people that have any kind of Christian background, that card can be really hard to see, to the point that we can't even learn the lesson from it, right? So I was like, how do I share the lessons that the devil has, especially when we're talking about liberation or freedom or allowing yourself to have fun, and the other side of the lesson, that sometimes the addiction and the vices and the really bad decisions, they look really good, and that's why you do them, right? Like, especially like addiction doesn't feel scary in the beginning, or no one would get there, right? It feels good. It's so I wanted that sort of like really alluring sensation in the card, right? So I did create this card with like a very good looking guy, so that he's kind of like, you know, he's just that like very sensual, very attractive, because this is often why we get ourselves in trouble, right? With that kind of energy, because things do seem attractive and fun and wonderful. Yeah. So I started with that, knowing that I wanted to have him have his hand reached out like that, because I also believe that the devil can lead us to our shadow. He's not going to help you get out of it, but he can really lead you there so that you know what you need to heal. You know what I mean? So I wanted
100%.
that handout, but then I put the little the kind of the puppet strings with the other person who's clearly in turmoil below him, because I didn't want to lose that aspect of that, that kind of being bonded to the problem.
Yeah.
And the universal hexagram, I didn't want to do the inverted pentagram. There's so much Hollywood around it, it just scares
I love you
people,
for that.
right? Like people just have ideas around it right away. And so I thought, what other symbol is magical that I could put there and that would explain kind of my perspective of the devil? And so I chose the universal hexagram. I'm so glad you like that choice. Thank you.
Yeah, that was the best.
And because it is a magical symbol. So I thought people would initially feel like, okay, there's something really interesting about this symbol, even if they don't know what it means, because it has all of that magic behind it. And then when you look at the way it's used, whether that's Crowley or like all the Golden Dawn stuff, it's often used for like invoking or banishing rituals. And so I thought, okay, like with the devil, some of the energy in this card is that you need to banish or you need to invoke, right? So I put it there sort of with that idea that we can learn how to invoke our shadow and heal from it, but then we have to banish it.
Yeah. Oh, Chrisanna, I love it. I wish we could go through every single card in the deck, and we can't. But your book will.
Yeah.
You're putting out a book.
I have it here. Yeah, I have my hardcover copy that's coming.
Yes!
It's coming.
Are you going to put a deck set together like this type of thing?
No, it just comes as just the book. And it doesn't go into, I mean, you only have so much space. You're talking 78 cards. Like the book would be 1,000 pages thick if it could explain everything I wanted to explain, right? But what I did was I took like the cards and I did little handwriting around them. So people have jumping off points. Like it might say something like on the High Priestess, this comes from like the Temple of Solomon. I'm not going to explain all of what that is, but it'll give people the place where they're like, oh, I'm curious about the Temple of Solomon and why this, it'll give you all the places to go if you want more, because there's just,
Was that the same PDF that you sent me years back? A black and white PDF? I think it was.
No, that would have been a Light Seers field notes probably, where it had.
That's it. It's not the same.
So that would have had the keywords and some questions and then some journaling. So I do have some of those questions are in here. Yes,
Good.
but it's totally different.
Asked, will you be doing audiobooks?
I'm doing I'm right now recording this. So all of this stuff, like the actual guidebook stuff, I'm recording for the audiobook. And then there's a little section that, because going from printed to audio is not always a straight line, I have a chart in the back because I wanted to show like the rider weight with it so people could, for when people are learning. And so I couldn't, oh, thank you. I thought it would be a good, like, just a nice addition.
That's what I need if I'm to bring it into my tarot classes.
Right. I did this for you.
Thank you. But exactly, I doubt it.
Exactly for those things, though, right? For people that are like teaching or learning, and so they could kind of go back and forth. And so what I had to do was, because I can't just read a list of like, here's some small symbols, I added like an extra section to the audiobook that's not in the printed book, that's just a little bit more talking about the symbols as best I could in like a short, like in about a 1 page of writing,
We'll have to have both. When's the book coming out?
October 29th. Close to Halloween's perfect timing, right?
You're kidding.
Yeah, it's a good time.
So excited. So how do I get the first like 10 books? How do I do that?
I will ask Hay House. I don't know when I'm going to get my samples. I have just this one, but they gave me 2 actually, but I know they usually send author stuff a little bit early. So I'm going to find out when I'll get it. And then if I can get you some early copies, I will.
Well, I'm going to be there October 29th
Oh
in
yeah.
Barrie.
Yes, yes, yes.
So maybe when we go for coffee, I could get a signed book for me,
A million
and then we'll worry
percent.
about the rest. I would
Yes, of
love to have
course.
another, and then I got to bring my other book and get you to sign it after all.
Awesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
This
of course.
this
Yeah.
will work.
I'll have copies by then for sure because they'll be going out places. They just, I'm not really sure with Hay House. It's sort of when they show up, they show up. I don't always know all the details.
Yeah, they were sharing your link for the longest time for selling your book for 15.99. Your deck for 15.99.
Amazing. Yeah. Sometimes they have those sales, right? With all their decks, like usually once a year, maybe
I
sometimes
couldn't
twice a year.
believe it. I
Yeah.
almost wish I had bought them all then.
Yeah. They do some good sales. They do for sure. And I
Yeah.
remember I used to wait for those. I'd be like, okay, I've got like 5 decks in my cart and I'm going to wait.
Right? So I want to ask you what your favorite deck is in the Light Seers.
My favorite
Well,
card.
your favorite card. What's your
So
favorite one?
I do really like the Queen of Pentacles because she was such an important part of that deck. And I also love the King of Pentacles because he is my favorite. King of Pentacles is my favorite court card. And so,
Is that also your partner?
no, it's not, but but I just have done more, I've done more path working with that card than I have with it with that archetype than I have with any other card. So I just have a real affinity for the King of Pentacles. As a business owner for so many years, like he was my go-to, like I'm struggling, I need some business help. So I'd, go into path working mode and go get some information from him. So I really love him. But as far as like, I think it's just my connection with him. I just love the King of Pentacles. But favorite card, I don't know. They all have their own little bits and pieces. Like I also really like the Six of Swords for the color, just the colors and that red scarf and yeah. And I mean, it's not that I love that archetype, but I like that particular card. Let me see if I can find her here. I'll find her in the book because I know she's here. Easy to find because it's in order.
Well, that's nice. But I use your cards all the time, so they're all upside down.
She is right here.
Oh, yes, 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 yes.
And so I don't know. I just liked the way that particular card. I don't know. She's just it's jumping out to me as I like the little pop of red. I'm not sure. It's a tough one. It's it's like you spend so much time, or I spent, especially as the artist and creator, you spend so much time with each one of them that I feel like they all have to be my favorite at some point,
Well, I thought it was funny when I mentioned that I'd like to talk about the sacred creators and the light seers in our conversation behind the scenes. And you said, but what about my other two? You didn't say it like that. But it made me feel like, oh, yeah, they're all her kids. She can't love one more than the other.
I said I would have the Muse with me because it is like, this is actually my favorite deck out of all of them.
It is also Tara Green. You know her from Toronto?
I do. I love her.
Yeah, she's a friend of mine as well. I've collaborated with her online as well. She's Toronto's #1 psychic. So we've been friends a long time, her and I. And she is using your deck as well, but she uses the Muse. She loves that deck. Tell me about that deck.
It's so different, right? It's nothing like the Light Seers, I feel like. I mean, it has like there's a vibe maybe that's my own, but other than that, I mean, it looks different. It's a totally different art.
Can you show us a few cards?
Yeah,
please.
Yeah, so there's the Page of Emotions, which is my Page of Cups, and we have here the Nine of Voices, which is my Nine of Swords. So I mean, it's such a different deck. Like it's based
it's the new Toth deck.
It's very different, It's just
you know what I mean? What I'm saying, that Chris-Anne? Like your Light Seers is kind of like the replacement for the Rider's Waite, and the Muse deck is the replacement for the Toth deck.
Oh,
I mean, in this era, that's how I'm seeing it, and I'm like, how did she do that?
I can't say yes to that because it feels like way too big. Replacement for the Toth. I'm like, oh gosh.
Listen, Tara Green was only using the Toth deck until she ran into you and that deck, and now she uses that often.
Oh.
So, and
That's
she
so
likes the
nice.
complicated versions of things. She's quite an advanced astrologer, and
Right. Yeah.
so she really likes the unique and what is the word I'm looking for? It's sort of like
Like
super
a little
abstract.
eccentric maybe, or a little
Yeah.
bit like, yeah. Yeah.
So
And that's
yeah.
probably why I love it so much because I mean, I kind of, yeah, I go through my own little, like I am sort of a weirdo.
I'm not
So,
surprised. You'd have to be. Let's look at the other deck you created. That'll prove it. The creature
right.
one. So is that one.
The
That'll prove
curious creatures.
it.
Yeah, this one is, yeah, for sure. This is very strange.
Show us some of those cards.
This one was actually, so I had started this like December 2019, and I'm so grateful because this was what helped me to laugh all through 2020, right? Like, because
Oh
this
my
was
goodness,
like
that was a hard year, wasn't it?
because it's such a bizarre, silly, like they're just so ridiculous. They're like the humanimals.
Right.
So I got my Queen of Cups, who's this seal. Like, we had so much fun here with these silly, my Rhino Hermit. It gave me joy at a time when I needed joy. So I'm not even sure if I'm just creating this deck and it was, it gave me something to laugh at, which it came at the perfect time. There's my Four of Swords sloth.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's a really good card, a good animal for that card, isn't it?
Yes, they're just sort of, they're just, they're fun. And we try, so I say we because I work with I've had the same assistant for like 20 something years. She's been with me forever. And, us just like laughing at like, what animal could it be? And what's the spirit of that animal? And what does that feel like? And then when we worked in Photoshop, this is a collage based deck and then some illustration on top. And some of the mishaps that happened where we think a head is going to work really well and we put it on and it looks terrible. So we just laughed at our own silly process behind the scenes a lot with this deck. So
Yeah. Which deck was? Show us the first, second, and third child, would you?
I don't actually have Sacred Creators here, but that's
okay. So I got Sacred Creators here.
You have Sacred Creators, and then along came Light Seers, and then
so this is
halfway
first,
through Light Seers. Halfway through Light Seers, this one showed up and said, "No, you're not going to finish this. You're going to do this now," which is exactly what happened. It was 2017. My word of the year was mused, as in like I want to feel mused, like let the muse run through me, and she did. Right, that's when this showed up.
Yeah.
And then this one, 2020. And then I stopped creating decks and I went to acupuncture school and I took a little bit of a break because it was all a lot. And then now I'm just on the heels of just finishing that school and getting back into my creative life. So
Oh, I'm so glad. I can only imagine what you'll do from here. I can only imagine. I mean, it's kind of a hard act to follow, though. You've put out some really amazing things in the last. What would that be? 10 years. In the last 10 years, you've just pumped out the best.
Thank you. That's actually, as a creator, one of my biggest fears. I'm going to be so honest with you, is that, but I remember also having this fear after Sacred Creators. I did a post on it thinking like, what if I put in my masterpiece and there's nothing, like, maybe that's it, With Light Seers, that's definitely the deck that has had the most success. And I think, what if I'm never going to be able to create at that level again? Or what if I'm not going to be able to have that sort of same level of either success or, like it is something that, like, that most creators, artists, and me in this moment in my life, for sure, it's like you have this product that people like, and then you think, will I ever be able to do something that they like as much? And I think that's probably why I went to school, because I felt so overwhelmed by that. Like it just felt like a lot of responsibility or like a lot of pressure. So I went to school. I started my acupuncture degree in 2012. So I was like, I want to finish it. I want to learn about the energetics of the human body, finish that. But I don't want to work in that. I want to work in the intuitive arts. That's where, that's my home.
That's where you shine, girlfriend. Okay, everyone, please tap the screen again. Just tap the screen for me, please, everyone, if you wouldn't mind. It puts the hearts into the room. Thank you.
So I'm just at that place right now where I'm finally feeling like, understanding that I think I just need to create for myself. And then hopefully that's what other people will love. And if they don't, that's also okay. You know what I mean? We just have to follow
Yeah,
the muse. We have to follow our heart. That's kind of where I'm at right now with my creativity. It's been a little bit of a journey though since Light Seers took off.
I can see that.
Yeah.
How about the Muse and the Creatures deck? Do they both have significant booklets?
So they're like this. They're like not a little white book, but they're pretty full.
Yeah.
So they're about, I think, maybe 30,000 words. Sorry, I'm showing you this one, and this one's in Japanese. Not going to help.
Isn't that something else to have your stuff all in different languages too?
You know, I
Wow.
never dreamed it possible. Like I really did. I mean, maybe in my wildest dreams, right? That, oh, maybe it'll be in Spanish because I speak Spanish. So I was like, oh, always wanting my stuff to be in Spanish. And, oh, French would be cool. But oh my goodness, Russian, like Light Seers has been Russian and Japanese and Swedish and like all of these languages that I never imagined. And I'm so grateful, but I'm also like, I have a lot of pinch me moments where I'm like, oh, is this real? Like, oh my goodness, it's so,
So your decks are being sold in many countries too.
yeah. And it's
Let me ask you this.
beautiful and humbling and all of it,
Would you say the Asian countries are preferring your Creatures deck?
That
Do you
one is
know if
newer.
there's a
So
country
the
that likes
Muse
the
for
same
sure.
deck?
The Muse for sure for the bright colors.
Yeah.
So I know Japan is they like the Muse over the Light Seers for sure, and they do have Curious Creatures there as well, I believe. And but Curious Creatures hasn't done as well as the other two, and I get that because it's so weird, right? It is. It's totally weird. And Hey Host knew that when they said yes. They were like, "This is like we're testing this." Because it is bizarre, It's not everybody's
But
cup
the
of tea.
Muse, I think the Muse is really so eccentric, as you say, that it is like that opposite, Crowley deck and Rider Waite deck. But I'm so impressed that you've got them both going on between the Light Seers and the Muse. I'm seeing that as the new era taking over those positions. That's what I see, Chris Ann. And maybe you don't see it yet, but I guarantee you will see it. You will see it. And I'm so impressed with your creative skill. I'm also very impressed with your words and your wordsmithing. You are, what I'm seeing and reading is classic, like top of the line stuff. It's top shelf stuff. So you can't help but be successful. And I'm not just saying this because you're my friend. I'm saying it because I really believe it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you
Oh,
so
yeah.
much. It's, there's moments when it's so strange when you're like an intuitive artist because you get this information and it flows through you and you put something on paper and you think, well, I really like that. Isn't that cool? And then with the Muse, I got poetry as I was creating the cards. And so there's all this poetry that came through. But then it's so easy to be like, did I do that? Like, do you know what I mean? Because there's just this like energy that runs through you, and then you can't recreate it. Like I could never do the Light Seers again. I could never recreate the Muse because I'm not in that energy. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
So there's this sort of like I'm like, oh, I'm hearing it and I'm like, thank you, and I appreciate that so much, but there's a voice inside my head that's like, not even you. Wasn't even you.
And it's true because I'm also a creator
Yeah.
of things, and everything comes through. And you said it right. I created this PDF. I went to sleep. I woke up and I couldn't wait. I was hooked. I'm in. I'm all the way obsessed. I've got all the pictures and I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's me. I sleep on everything.
Yeah.
And I awaken with the knowing. And is this us going to sort of like Earth School in sleep time, and all of our ancestors and spirit guides are there, sort of plugging us and teaching us?
Absolutely.
And I think so. Sometimes I feel like a poser when I'm doing and saying things because I don't know where it came from.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and we just learn how to trust those things as we, you know, the longer we do this work. I mean, it's the same as when you're doing readings for someone, or when you're just doing intuitive messaging, right? It's, you kind of get this thing and you're like, I don't know what this means. Nothing to me. I'm just going to say it and hope that it lands. And of course, then the other person is like, oh, how did you know? But it's like, I didn't know.
I don't know how I
It
know. I
just,
just know.
yeah, it just someone else knew, or you knew, or your guides knew, and I'm just the hands for this project, or I'm just the, you know, the mouth for this message, you know?
No, I literally say that I am the switchboard operator. I'm plugging into spirit, plugging into you, and just flowing with the information that you came to me to know about.
Right, exactly.
Right?
You got it.
And
Yeah.
I feel like a conduit. I do. And I think creative people like yourself are that. We are conduits to something bigger, a bigger picture. And it is hard to take full credit for it, because we know that it really didn't take any effort to create.
Yeah, it
And
was
we
just,
don't know
it just
why.
came, you know? It just came. Or I mean, there's the effort in the creation of it, but there's not the effort in the idea landing. You know what I mean? Like,
No,
it's
I
just like,
absolutely
boom.
get that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you for qualifying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm a Virgo ascendant. And so with that Virgo, we are working hard. We're not just sitting back
Yeah.
waiting for things to come in, but things come in and then we're forced to put the legs to it.
Yes, you go, exactly. That's how I feel. I feel like
Yeah.
it's like a lot of work, but I'm so happy to do it because I just get so inspired, you know? I get
Yeah.
almost, I will say, like when I was doing Light Seers and the Muse, I mean, not that it was like necessarily pathological, but I really felt almost manic in a way that I was so obsessed with the work that I was just like, oh, it's all I could think about. It's all I wanted to do. I was just, you know, so obsessed and absorbed by the energies of these twins that I birthed, because they came at the same time.
That's exactly right. Isn't that something? I didn't know this about those two decks. That's a fun thing to know now, you know? So yeah, I'm so inspired by your gifts and your strengths in this area. And I thought it might be fun, but I want to say again, no one is tapping that screen. And I really need you to, because I want to do something and I need more people in the room. So please help me, whoever's in the room, tap that screen. And I can see if you didn't do it.
What does the tapping? I don't know anything about TikTok. What does the tapping the screen do?
Okay, somebody tap the screen, would you please, so she can see. Andrea, tap the screen for me, girlfriend. And keep tapping like that. I don't know.
You get
I'm
the
not
hearts?
seeing the hearts
Does
anymore.
it show hearts?
Yeah, it does, but I'm not seeing them. So maybe, are the hearts actually coming up? And I just can't see them. Maybe that's why. But yeah, and then what it does is it throws this whole live into the for your page.
Okay.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Andrea. It must be because I cannot see it because we have two people on. So yeah, people are tapping the screen for us. Thank you. I really appreciate it. So here's what I'd like to do. I was hoping you would play along.
Yeah.
I was
I'm
thinking,
game.
right? I was thinking it would be really fun if we allowed some of our people here to maybe throw a question into the mix, what they would like to know, and have you use your cards and your intuition to tell them. And if there's anything I think you might have missed, which I doubt, but if I do,
Yeah,
I'll
we'll
add my 2
co-read for
cents at
sure.
the end of it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Let's do
So,
it.
somebody, any questions out there that they would like to ask Chris Ann? I have one for you, but I'll leave mine for the end. I actually do. I have some fun things coming up. So, any questions? Yes, I see that, Andrea. We'll just give them a second. Which deck are you going to use?
Light Seers.
Right on. Oh, and you know what else I noticed is that you did this. You did the white on the background of the, yeah. Have you got the same on the other ones?
Yep. They're all like the background, the backs. Yeah, they're a family.
Oh, I love it. Oh, yours are colored there. These are just white.
No, this is Curious Creatures.
Oh, gotcha. So they're all different. They all look the same. They're a family. I get it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
I made them a family. Yep.
Wonderful. Okay, can you see the people's comments here?
Let me see.
Pick whoever you want.
I see Andy B. What does the next 3 months look like? Let's start there. Andy B. Next 3 months. Oh gosh, I'm getting cards flying. Next 3 months for Andy B. All right. Let's see what Light Seers has to say. All right. So I have 2 cards for Andy. I have the Lovers and I have the 9 of Swords. So there's probably, this is where I'm going to go with this, Andy. I think that there's probably some sort of choices that you're being faced with right now. And you probably, like, this actually feels like, I'm going to pull one more card, 3 months, 3 cards. I feel like this is like where you're at right now. Choices, there's definitely a little bit of angst around them. Not quite sure where you're going to go. You're probably overthinking a lot right now. You're probably in the middle of like, whoa, there's so much happening and you're not moving because there's so many, you're like in the mental and the logical and the thinking, a lot of thinking. Like there's just so much thinking happening right now about your next 3 months. So I'm going to pull a third card to get us an outcome.
She says, yep, and laughs. She goes, absolutely, that's it.
Oh, I love this for you. Okay, so once you make a few steps, because you have to make a few steps. In order to get to this next card, you have to actually make a choice and commit to it. Let the universe know that you want what you want. And you're there. It's only going to come if you commit to this. Then for the 3rd month, we have the 10 of Pentacles, which is so beautiful. This is like your one big, like happy, joyful, financial is good. It's a little bit also with community. So maybe you need to reach out. So I'm getting that there's community involved and there's a little bit of like reaching out to community and allowing yourself to be held by community. And when you do that, it's all going to fall into place.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So the 7 of Swords, in this case, how did you read that?
9 of Swords.
Oh, 9 of Swords. Sorry, 9 of Swords. Got you. Yeah, right.
So what did I pull from?
I see that as it's the community around sort of being the headache. So it's not so much the internal family, but more the outside and the nonsense outside, all that chatter outside, right?
Yeah,
and that maybe that the process is letting that go, and being more. Somebody gave me some. Did you see that?
What was that?
Those are called gifts, and my friend Adrian, I think he gifted me it's called a love painting on my face.
Aww.
There's gifts that you get, right? And little fun things like that, just to show appreciation. Thank you,
And
Adrian.
I see Andy saying there, I know the choice and I'm going to do it. Good.
Oh,
amazing.
Good.
Amazing. I'm glad that made sense for you. Oh, I got something on my face.
Yeah, that's good.
Fun.
That's good. So letting go of that other stuff, other people's stuff, and not letting it come in. I like that. Okay, so let's pick someone else. Pick someone else, Chris.
And I don't always read the cards like book ways either. You know, I just sort of, sometimes I usually start there, but then you get something in your head and you just kind of go with it, you know?
Well, you can do whatever you want, they're your cards.
Let's see.
And you see the person that has the name Wolf beside it?
Yes.
That is reserved for those people who buy your membership.
Cool.
And when they buy your membership, you can give them a word or a name that you choose. And then for me, every time I see them, I give them a card or two. When they first buy it, I give them about 4 or 5 cards. And then every time I'm alive and I see them, I give them a card or two.
All right. So well, let's do Kalea. Yeah, what changes can I expect in the next? I think it was the next month or the next few months. Let's do the next month. For Kelly, you know what? And I'm also feeling like for that, I want to use Curious Creatures. So I'm going to pull one from Light Seers, but I'm feeling really like pulled towards Curious Creatures for that question. I don't know why, but here we go.
Yeah.
You getting a Curious Creatures? Kalia, the next few months. All right, so I've got two queens for you. I've got the Queen of Cups and I've got the Queen of Pentacles. So I just want to tune into your question here for a second. Let me see. Oh, she said, I am a curious creature. I love it. Are you also an empath? Are you empathic? That's the word that's sticking in my head right now. So I'm going to go with it. I feel like there's, the next couple months. Okay. Cause there's a sense of like really distinguishing between what's yours and what's not. I'm getting that, like this big empath energy for you. And like, so Queen of Pentacles is usually a great card when we're talking about finances and when we're talking about, I'm going to give you a little bit of traditional stuff here. We're talking about finances, but she's also someone who's very community-based as well. She's also someone who's able to hold other people. And then that with the Queen of Cups, it's just like this beautiful empathic heart that you have. And you're able to, when you choose to figure out like what's yours and what's not, then you're able to really hold people in a new way. So that empath energy, like there's a little bit of work that needs to happen in the next few months with this for you. Like I'm truly, truly feeling that the word empath is sitting there because there's work to do around it. Like maybe there's something that's happening in your life where you're confused why you feel the way you feel. And it's not even your energy. You need to get really clear on that energy. And then things are just going to like shift so much easier because you're going to be like, okay, you need to get clear here. Like there's
What's the animal of the creature there? What's the creature's animal?
We've got, it's like a Highland cow. Yeah.
Okay.
I've been working on that separation between me and not taking on others' business and guilt around with you. Yeah.
You know what I was getting, and this is why I asked, is that's a domestic issues or domesticated type issues due to the cow? Because, it's a domestic animal, really.
Absolutely.
Right? And then I cut your deck and the Light Seers, and I got the Six of Cups in reverse. So this tells me you may, Kalia, you may need to let go of something that's been there a while. Maybe it's outdated. It just doesn't fit you anymore. And the businesswoman in you, the Queen of Pentacles knows this, but it's the Queen of Cups that's been having you hold on.
Yeah.
Right? So the Queen of Pentacles must have her way at the end of the day.
Yeah. I love that. There's definitely, I get that same sort of like empath longing. So that's a perfect six of cups. Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was probably something close to home that, this issue is about. My friend Adrian, just saw, you see that gentleman's name there?
Yes.
He's had a really rough year. And he did send you, that was the lipstick stuff that we've got. So maybe we could throw him a card.
I think we should. Absolutely.
Just for good
I'm sorry to
luck.
hear that you had a tough year, Adrian. That's never fun. I'm going to pull one Curious Creatures and one Muse for you, Adrian.
Kalia says, dead on. And the deadbeat dad's moving out September 1st.
Aww.
Oh, she didn't say deadbeat dad. I just saw the word dead, and then I attached it to that.
You were also mind reading the card that I just pulled. That's what's going on too.
There you go.
Yeah.
Learning your
There you go.
Yeah.
So you're actually that, I'm just saying, Kalia, that I'm like, you need to separate what's yours and what's not, even beyond the heart, right? That's kind of an amazing, let's see. Okay. All right. So I have two cards for
Adrian.
I have the Hermit from the Muse. You can see this. She's kind of sitting under this tree, Having some
Beautiful.
time, some solace. And I also got the death from Curious Creatures, the death card. So definitely there is this sensation of, this was the first card I pulled, right? So I feel like this is where you're at now, this big rebirth, letting go. Obviously, I know that, but this is the card that came. So this is the message that's meant to be here, is that letting go, truly not being chained to whatever it is that's happened in the past, truly, truly, truly. It's like this, like, what are they called? I'm seeing the image and I'm not getting the word. Like when people are in prison, the ball and chain, like there's like the, like just allowing, it's off, but somehow it's still connected to your leg, and I'm not sure why. So this, I think, is where you need to go. You need some more time, maybe don't beat yourself up if you've needed time out, or if you've needed to take time alone, or you've needed to have that sacred solace. No negative self-talk around that.
Oh, how perfect to say that. Thank you.
You know what I mean? Just allow, it's perfect that you're doing that. Like there could be nothing more right. And we have stories about that, right?
Sorry for interrupting, dear.
No,
I thought
it's all good.
I got the Seven of Pentacles, and to me that card is, you plant your garden, you think that it's going to do well, it doesn't rain, only 3 seeds crop up. But there's still 3 seeds. There's still 3 seeds. And those plants, they'll produce more seeds. Better luck next time. Meaning for me, really, is those 3 plants are just as important as the other 4 you didn't get. So it's kind of, in a way, it's kind of like, being happy with the little bit that you got. Even if it's only a little tiny bit, it was enough to push you past where you were already at. So you're higher up, you're ahead of the game. 3 plants are better than no plants.
Totally. Yeah. We fail forwards. We really do. This is how we grow.
Right? Oh, I love your decks. They're very, very nice. I like that you're able to use them all in the same breath. Oh yeah, Adrian says he's grateful for all that has happened and moving forward. Yeah, actually, just Jen mentioned something about how she felt a connection to what you were saying, even though you weren't speaking directly to her. I would say that it is true with all psychic messages. When you hear them, or they just sort of pop in, or even a song that speaks to you right off the bat, I mean, it really is meant for you to listen to.
Yeah.
Right? It really is. And Adrian getting the Death card and the Hermit, if you knew some of the things that he had been experiencing, you'd understand how perfect those 2 cards really are. And that's what he's doing. He's doing exactly that, and healing and moving forward. But the reminder of the 7 of Pentacles for him really was just to remember the good. Just remembering the good. It's important to do at least that. How else would you remember that card? How would you describe the 7 of Pentacles?
Also, that if you look at the image, there are all of those pentacles that are under the earth, right? So what you see as having that you can harvest, or what you see that has worked or sprouted, or the plans that have come to fruition, they're just like the tip of the iceberg for you, because you've been planting all of these seeds. It doesn't mean that they're not there if you can't see them yet. It just means that they're not here right now, right? So you can see all of those pentacles under the earth that are going to pop. You just keep doing the work. They're going to pop. They're not there yet. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad I asked you to complete that. That was perfect. Geez, we should have a channel together.
I think it's fun. I love co-reading. I really do.
Oh, I'm so grateful to do this with you. It's so fun, so wonderful. I do have an incredible idea that I'm working on in my head, very Virgo-like, for a little while. And one day I'll come a knocking on your door around it. Because remember I said right in the beginning, I have all of you wonderful creative souls in my pocket. And how could I just sit on it and do nothing? I can't. That's just not Virgo, like I'm not positive.
No.
So, but it does entail bringing all of us together. And I mean, all the psychic authors and creators together in a game
Love it.
and showing and sharing it with community in a big way,
Yeah.
And I would like to know if you think it will be successful.
Oh, with a card? With card? Like I want to answer that question without a card, of course. That's my answer, just like yes, because success is like, what is success? You know what I mean? That word for me is like it's so abstract. It's successful if you just do it. You're already successful. You know what I mean? Or what does success mean? So that's always my thing with that word. Because I'm gonna just tell you a little quick sidebar here. I spent my whole life as a creative working towards success without understanding what that even meant for me. This idea like, oh, when I'm going to feel a certain way when I get a certain thing. And none of it is true. Success is like the journey in the moment. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah,
You don't even know you're successful until you're on the other side going, wow.
Exactly. And then I don't feel any different.
No. Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? Like, you've become quite a celebrity and you don't feel any different, do you?
No, not at all.
I know.
And like, I even think that word, I'm like, oh gosh. No, I just feel the same. I just feel like there's a little more pressure to create something great. And that's difficult, you know?
I don't think it's going to be. I did see something very similar to your new Light Seers book coming out with the Muse book. I see something like that coming down the road.
I would love it. So I did a Muse. That's my dream book is probably what you're picking up on is a book that has, it's not necessarily tarot based, but it's with the graphics like the Muse, with poetry, with just like writing. It's just like
connected to that tarot deck though. Whatever book I'm seeing is most definitely connected to that tarot deck.
Okay.
It is probably going to be one of the most successful books.
So I did a Muse book when I first did the deck, it exists. But when I sold it to Hay House, it didn't exist anymore.
Can you not create that book in your own way?
Not if it's not through the publishing company. Yeah.
Maybe you just put it through them again.
Maybe.
All I know is I see something and it's beautiful. It looks like it's connected to the Muse. And I personally think you're going to do very well with it. And so I see more successes coming your way is the point I'm saying.
Oh, thank you. I love that. I'm going to take that. I'm just going to remind myself of that.
You're not done. And you're not going to have a hard time meeting your quota. I was kind of teasing when I said it's a hard act to follow, but you'll be following it just fine.
Jen Stanley says, I understand. She has 13 unpublished works of the same, and she's been trying. Yeah.
Oh, no. All right.
All right. I'm pulling a card for you about the community, whatever you're envisioning. Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to love this one. Queen of Pentacles.
Oh, that's perfect, isn't it?
It is.
That's perfect.
It is. So that if anyone that's watching that isn't familiar with the Queen of Pentacles, she is like community. She's warm. She's got this big personality. She's got charisma, and she's so earthy and connected to the material life and stability and safety, and she's really good at making money.
Oh yes.
One of the things here that you see the way she has, can you even see it? Let me see if I can get close enough there. She's got like half gloves on.
Yes.
Because it was making me think of like the story of Midas, like everything he touches turns to gold.
Yes.
So she's got half gloves on, so she can so it's just like that reminder that like this is going to make money.
I'm so grateful for that. And I want to say, Jen, there's your reading. Just so you know, you've been holding on, hoping for some sort of information, some sort of psychic skill, some sort of info coming your way. and no one gave you a personal reading. But the whole time you've been listening to the collective readings. So I think that card is meant for you too, dear.
Yeah.
So there you go. You've got a reading too.
I love it.
I really do feel that success is coming. A couple of years back, I had this weird energy in my chest, and I couldn't settle. And what it was excitement, but it was something that's coming to me in the future. It was a couple of years ago when it started, and I'm like, and it was when I first came on TikTok, and then I went to sleep, woke up the next day, and I had this. You're going to be really well known, and then I thought, TikTok well known isn't quite what I was looking for, but I have become well known on TikTok. And although my numbers today did not show that in our gathering for whatever reason, when I go live, I get a lot more people. I think it just takes a lot. I think the for your page doesn't throw out a lot of energy when it's collaborations.
Yeah. And also, because I don't have followers on my page, it could also be affecting your algorithm, I'm guessing, because I'm never on here. No? Yeah.
Yeah. But I do think that that's going to change in the future. But my thing of what I was saying is I didn't see myself becoming so well known on TikTok as I saw something else. And it's this something else I'm talking to you about. I might get well known on TikTok, but the more you get well known there, the more you get people bashing you down too. So
Of course,
it's kind of
social media is
place.
hard.
Yeah, it's a weird place, but I'm looking really forward to this thing that is in my mind, and it will give me an opportunity to be funny, because I am a funny person. I have a great sense of humor, and I can poke so much fun at things. And so here's something, for instance. Are you astrology? Do you know a bit about astrology too?
Tiny bit. I'm not as into astrology as I am tarot, for sure. Yeah.
Listen, but if I was to tell you I am a Leo, born in the house of Pisces, with a Scorpio moon in Gemini, and a Virgo ascendant in the house of Aries, would you be able to think of something funny to say about that?
Oh gosh. Hmm. Yeah. I'm sure there's lots. My brain is not coming up with anything though.
My point is, so one of my friends, Lori Benson, she might be watching, I don't know. She's a herbalist and an astrologer. And her and I at Pagan Fest, I don't know if you ever remember, we were doing those Pagan festivals.
Yes. In Penetanguishene, right? Was it Penetanguishene? Yeah.
On Penetanguishene Road in Oromadonte.
Yeah.
And so we had been partying, and it was a party. It was a festival. So it was like the second last weekend night, and we were drinking. Well, she was drinking, and I was having a toke, and we were sitting around the campfire, and everybody was having a good buzz on, and we started talking about that. And we were telling people who they were and what they were, and we were so freaking funny. I had such a good time doing that, and I realized so did they.
Yeah.
People love to talk about themselves. They want to know more about themselves. And most people have a good sense of humor and can handle it when you be sassy and say funny things about them, right? And I think that I love my job, don't get me wrong, but I deal with a lot of seriousness. People sad.
Yes. Yeah.
And for me, life is bigger than that. Life is bigger than that. I like to have fun, and I like to laugh, and I love to poke, and I don't mind being poked myself. I'm better at poking than I am taking a poke.
Yeah. I like to laugh too. I'm so goofy. It's just, yeah.
I see that. Yeah. I watch your little things that you're doing, your little dances. And you're just adorable. You really are. And for those of you that don't know, this is Chris Ann from the Light Seers Tarot. Please make sure you're following her. And also not just Light Seers, but she has the Muse. Show the Muse, please. Show the Muse.
Where'd it go? Here it is.
The Muse and the
Curious Creatures. Tarot Curious Creatures. And Sacred Creators Oracle. Yep.
And the Sacred Creators Oracle. Where am I here? And the message, it tells me that you are the light, Chris. And this is a collective message. You are the magic for everyone. And I think that's the thing, is we got to remember that we are the magic. We create our own magic, our own laughs, we really do create our own realities, don't we?
I think we do. And I know that has like, we hear that, oh, you create your own reality, and it seems so trite and so like oversaid that we stop understanding what that actually means. But our perspective and our awareness and our focus and our mindset is everything. Like, you change that and you're a new person, you know?
True, but I mean, no disrespect to those people that have been given hard walks.
Of course, of course.
There are those people there that, they say, I did not create this. Well, I'm not going to argue with that. But I think for the most part, we do create our own realities. And even when we're given such a difficult path to follow, even in that, you can create something that is reasonably good in terms of life,
I actually think that, like, nobody, it doesn't mean that, like, oh, you're dealt this horrible hand and like that it's your fault. Not at all. But on some level, the only person that's going to pick you up and get you out of that reality is you.
That's the point.
Like, you're responsible for that, and like of what you do with that,
Well, I had a hard life too. I don't know about you, but I did. I had a very hard life, and I mean, I had to pull myself out of some pretty deep, dark holes. I mean, that devil card followed me around for quite a long time, and the Tower card, and I had both of them. They were nipping at my heels for most of my life.
Absolutely,
And then finally, I had to do something with it. I had to create something good from it all, and I did. Look what I created, and I mean, I really created something out of nothing, and so did you. So did you, didn't you?
It's and it's so easy to say, oh, your mindset is everything, or your that it doesn't mean that it's easy. Like, to say it is easy, but to do it can be extraordinarily difficult and challenging. To like think about, how am I going to shift the way I feel about something,
I'm being intensely focused on something. Like, I don't know about you, but I can sometimes isolate myself. Because I'm intensely focused on something and no one gets a piece of me. Unless you book a reading. And then I'll pull myself away from that to do the reading, and then I'm right back at it.
I definitely do isolate myself. Well, you know what? I'm notorious for it when I'm in the middle of a project, and also if I'm not doing very well. So people, it's like people will check up and they're like, are you being really creative, or?
Isn't that the truth? Is that a Virgo thing, I wonder?
I don't know, maybe.
Have you ever been out to British Columbia?
Oh, yeah. I actually used to live in Whistler for a few years.
I had a feeling, which is why I was asking. When's the last time you were out here?
Probably 2 years, maybe. About that,
So we now have a store in Victoria. Have you been there?
No, I have been, but not in years. Like, not since I was maybe 20. I would love to come see it. I'm going to come see it.
You may have already known the store. This is why I'm asking. So have you been to a metaphysical store in Victoria?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
So the store we are in, you want to talk about wonderful and unique. Myself and my son, we decided that we wanted to move our store from Nanaimo to Victoria. So we went to Victoria, looking around just to see the area. We don't know it. And we happened upon this square called Market Square. And we're looking around, and one bank of stores were completely empty and all for lease. So we're peeking in the windows and looking and, seeing the stores. One of the stores had really intrigued me. And it's got like a whole bunch of shelves on one side and shelves on the other. I'm like, it's almost turnkey, Skylar. Look at this store, right? So we're looking at it and we're thinking how great it is. So we go upstairs and we're talking to somebody. And one of the ladies in the store that's called Little House of Strange, so happened to be, we now are best friends. Anyway, so she comes out of her store, and we say to her, because we had heard that there was a store called Avalon. We thought it was called, no, we didn't know the name at the time. Or maybe we did. Anyway, something like that. We heard a store. a popular store, had closed. Where was it, we ask? And the woman says, oh, right down there. We're looking in that window. Now, that store was there for 40 years.
Wow.
And during COVID, it had closed. Now, it had been closed for a year and a half. The woman had some operation. And the woman had an operation and ended up closing her store. So it laid empty for all this time. And here's me and my son deciding that we like this store. So we get the tenant, the agent who's showing us the facility, and we see all of them just to due diligence. And then in the end, we decided on that, and she confirmed that indeed was Avalon and had been there for 40 years. So we are now there, and it is a big, beautiful store, and it's located in a legendary area called Market Square, which used to be an opium den for many, many, many moons, way back in the day. It's got so much history, and there's ghosts in there.
Wow.
There's ghosts in there. So it's really cool. It's really fun. Skylar's running the store, mostly my son.
Yeah.
And I still go in a couple of days a week, and I do readings online, and I do a lot of stuff online and teaching and classing. And I have a little store here where I live in Nanaimo, but I put my property up for sale so that we can go that way. He rented a house there. I go there for a couple of days a week. He comes here for a couple of days a week.
Nice.
And we're just living the dream. And, it's a little bit stressful because we're back and forth, but it's been good, and the store's just starting to really come together, and my son is loving his life, and I'm getting used to the changes.
Yeah. It
So
sounds like
when
it's
that
bigger
comes
than the
out-
little store from Barrie, huh? That you used to do.
Yeah, it's still there though. Andrea's still running.
I saw it the other day. I walked by it, but I didn't actually realize that Skylar wasn't there still, because I haven't been in a few years.
Yeah, he's with me here.
Nice.
He's running the store here. I have a little store here at my property where I live. So we have a little store here and a big store there. Store's still in Barrie, and I'm going to be coming into Barrie end of October. I'll be there for Halloween, and I'll be doing some readings and a wedding and a big party. And so fortunately for me, when I come and do these things, it helps pay for my way, and I can come back and forth often.
Amazing. So nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the new store. That's awesome.
Thank you, Chrisanne. I really appreciate it. Is there anything you want to share?
You know what? No, I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful for you. This was wonderful. It was so nice to connect. I can't wait till we do it in person over tea, either in Barrie or in Victoria or wherever it is. It's going to happen soon. I know it.
Yeah, I can't wait to see you and give you a really big hug and thank you for all of your gifts that you've helped the community with. We really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you too.
Yeah, thank you so much, honey. I guess it's a goodbye for tonight.
Yeah, you know what? This was amazing though. I would let's do it again. I figured out how to get camera and speakers going on TikTok. So
Good. So maybe one day we could actually do something like let's say we take on a couple of the planets that are going stationary instead of retrograde or something, and we could do do some sort of psychic work for the people. They love that.
Love it, love it, love it. And I'm not like a big I don't know astrology like you do. I'm such a I'm just, I just always feel like I scratch the surface on that one. But I am happy to talk tarot or energy or
fine.
Whatever it is.
I can work with that, and I work with the tarot mostly.
Yeah.
Even me, I'm a backyard astrologer. I'm not the front yard. I leave the front yard stuff to the experts, but I'm pretty good at it. I'm just not. That's my first love is tarot. So just like you. And I'm glad you're following, Chrisanne. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. I'm just new here.
Before we say goodbye, please make sure you're following her and me if you're not already, and keep an eye out for the wonderful things that she's up to. And we'll be carrying her books very, very soon at Earth and Sky Connection. And Dee Garcia's just joined, and she's a lovely woman who owns a metaphysical store in Texas.
Amazing.
So you want to make sure you get, she probably already had. Dee, do you have Chrisanne's stuff in your store? The Light Seers deck, tell me you do. I bet you do. And I bet you love that deck. She's a lovely lady. She's a psychic as well, and a partner is as well. Yeah.
Love that.
Sometimes there's a bit of a delay, eh?
Oh yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
Or people pop
Yeah.
in and then they close it.
Yeah, that happens too. But just so you know, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure I saw her doing readings with your deck in her hand. So
Aw,
just so you know.
that makes me happy.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the gift of your tarot and of your words of wisdom and your kindness. That's what shines through in everything you do, is the loving spirit you are. Thank you so much for being in our lives, Chrisanne. Yeah. Take care, honey.
We'll see you
Yeah.
soon.
Good luck.
Bye.
Good night. Bye-bye. Mwah.